Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. That's right, it is the Check Engine Podcast. We are streaming live through Anchor.fm or anywhere else you can stream podcasts. Google, iTunes, Breaker,
Pick one.
Castbox, whatever it is, pick one. We're there, and we're lucky to be there. My name is Nick. To my left this time is not Andrew.
It is me.
We changed it around. Our producer Tristan is back, and he came back a year older.
I did.
Happy
I've
birthday,
been gone
Tristan.
for a whole year.
I like your phrasing there.
Happy birthday. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
How was your trip?
Excellent. Rest and relaxation. I need a vacation from my vacation. Lots of stuff to do, but glad to be here.
Also with us, even though he's not on my left, he's across the table. Andrew is here, and he is back from a weekend celebrating an anniversary.
I came back a year more married.
You came back a year more married than he left.
Married.
Happy anniversary, Andrew.
Thank you.
I got nothing. Nothing happened to me. I'm just here.
I had a sad weekend.
I had a great weekend, but there was no milestones,
fair
maybe.
enough.
Okay.
We'll put it that way. As you can tell, we're not pros. But you're listening anyway, which we appreciate. But we don't want you just to listen, okay? We want you to talk with us about this kind of stuff. Anything cars, anything racing related, come at us with it. You know, you can reach out at checkenginepodcast.com. That's our base website. We've got a direct email there. It is inbox@checkenginepodcast.com. We're also all over the social networks. We're on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Check Engine Pod. No cast on the end. They didn't give us enough space, so just Check Engine Pod on Twitter and Instagram. So we want to hear from you. And also, if you really, really, really dig what we're doing here, which we hope you do, you can reach out and support us as well. We have two different support pages, anchor.support.anchor.fm/Check Engine Podcast. I believe is the one. And the other one is patreon.com/checkenginepodcast. Anything that goes in there will come out in a way that will better serve you, the listener. It's not going back to us. Swag, better recording equipment, more trips with things that we can talk about, etc., etc. So we thank you in advance if you choose to do that. Last housekeeping item, Tesla, in, out?
Out. I have some Tesla news, actually, but go.
I'm also out.
I'm also out. So housekeeping over.
Yes.
What are we talking about tonight?
We are going to talk about, well, on the heels of the live video that Nick and I did discussing the Skoda concept. That Skoda
Which was
concept.
awesome, by the way, you guys.
Oh, thanks.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent fill-in.
Thank you very much.
Skoda stole that from me, by the way, in case everyone didn't remember. But on the heels of that, it got me thinking, there are so many good cars in the world, and almost none of them exist in America. So what forbidden fruit cars do we want most to be here? What do we wish we could go out and buy right now?
That we can't go out
That
and
we
buy.
can't get in the U.S.
Cannot
Yeah,
get.
given even unlimited money,
You can't get them.
you can't get them.
Nope.
Because of
Can't have 'em.
the companies don't want to bring them, and U.S. import laws is nothing younger than 25 years old, usually.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot get them.
And we can also kind of dive into, I think, why companies choose to sell certain things here versus, why companies, car companies, choose to sell things in one country versus another, or on one continent versus another too. That might be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
But first,
First,
we have pace laps.
Yeah, first the Tesla pace lap, which I didn't mention before. But
Surprise!
all Tesla employees at Tesla Solar were laid off last week. That big, super successful solar project of Elon Musk's, they just fired everyone.
Great.
Beautiful.
It's cool.
About what I expected.
Nothing really surprises me anymore.
No, I mean, you gotta feel bad for people getting laid
Yeah.
off. And they
Yeah,
are
absolutely.
trying to do genuinely something good. I believe in solar power. I honestly do.
Yep.
And it kind of sucks that is what Elon Musk chose to shut down in his pursuit of keeping Tesla afloat, despite the fact that he's doing everything he can in his personal life to drive it directly into the ground.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like with one hand Elon giveth, and with the other he punches you in the face.
With the other, he goes on Twitter.
Yes, exactly.
And in turn, taketh away.
Engage one-handed keyboard mode.
I like that. That's very funny.
Tech jokes.
Well played.
But
Tristan's
no,
Tech Jokes, TM.
and I think that's I think it's indicative of the weird obsession he has with keeping this company afloat at all costs, and literally all costs being not keeping the company afloat.
Exactly.
It's the weirdest thing.
I also read something before last week, so I think it's going to be in the mid 130 days or so before all those people that loan Tesla all that money start saying, where's our money?
Yeah.
Yeah, so somewhere in the 130-day area before Tesla needs to be profitable.
Good luck.
What's the over-under on that?
Yeah.
I have no idea what happens if they don't make it, and I have no idea what happens if they do, other than obviously they would have to start repayment.
Yes. They would have to begin repayment, otherwise I would assume they would go into default.
Oh,
and then
sure.
comes restructuring and probably a very public breakdown.
But if they make the deal with the SEC, who knows what happens?
Right. That's
Oh.
who knows what.
As if the breakdown wasn't public enough already.
Right.
So much news. Now that we're talking about this, I just remembered so much other news about Tesla, but I don't care, and I want to move on to something that's better.
I agree.
Go.
And it's this, Nick. This will make you very excited. It makes me very excited, and everyone should be excited. Lexus, maker of SUVs, they are bringing back.
They do make cars.
Yeah, I know.
I know you people are listening to a car podcast because you're mostly car people, but don't let him lie to you. They do make cars.
And they're bringing back a very exciting car. They are bringing back the LFA.
Yes!
Now by testing on the Nürburgring with new bodywork. So it looks like maybe they're using the old, bodywork as kind of a mule for the new platform. And they may come up, I would assume they'll come up with something new, but it just looks a little different currently. Either way, LFA coming back, awesome.
Fantastic. Best sounding car ever produced for the road.
Wow, that's a lot.
There's a lot of really good sounding cars out there. The Lexus LFA was the best sounding car. Hope as long as they keep the sound the same, they can do whatever the hell else
Nick
they
is
want with it.
all on board.
I am 100% on board.
That was a V8, right?
10.
Isn't that-
Be 10.
Oh, well, they're not keeping that. There's no way. That'll be twin turbo V8 all the way. Maybe even V6.
Whatever. Make it sound the
Make
same.
it sound
That's all
great.
I care about.
Let it rev up to 15, 20,000 RPM and make it sound great.
Oh my god. Okay,
Just
I'm
let it
on
scream.
board with this now.
Just let it scream.
So you mean build a bomb.
Yes. Yes. Build a bomb.
Excellent. All right. We're all on board with that one.
Anybody else have anything? I've got some dumb car news.
Actually, I have something that you go first. Okay, you do your dumb car news, and I have something that could match that.
So I saw a Dodge, the newer, quote unquote, Dodge Dart,
Sure.
which in and of itself, as we have discussed, is pretty dumb.
One of the worst cars.
One of the worst
Yeah.
cars. And my man just slapped on like the world's biggest top fuel dragster spoiler
Wow.
off the back of it. Like he didn't try to, like he didn't blend the paint. He legitimately just went and just pop riveted this massive ass spoiler off the back of a Dodge Dart.
Wait, what color was the car versus color of the spoiler?
Yeah.
Oh, the car was
That's
like
my very important question.
almost like a deep, almost like a forest gray or forest green type color. Sorry, forest green.
Okay.
And the spoiler was just like a black with silver hardware.
Sure.
But
It's like
but it's not like that car needs that much rear downforce.
no car needs
needs
that much
no
rear
rear
downforce. It's a front-wheel drive car. It needs almost no rear downforce.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny part is that calls to mind, like, he was customizing his car in Forza, and he had to use the default arrow. Like that.
But you can
'cause-
buy the Forza spoiler on the back?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So related to that, someone at our place of employment, Nick,
I think they know where we work now.
has a Dodge Dart. It's black, and on the side there are pink stickers that say, in the same font, and a similar design logo, but not quite the same, Hell Kitty.
And a guy drives this.
It's pink. The Hell Kitty stickers. The Hell Kitty stickers are pink.
Oh no! So like Hello Kitty,
No, Hell
but
Kitty.
it's Hell Kitty.
Yeah, exactly.
In the puffy lettering.
No, in the
And the Hellcat
Hellcat lettering.
Oh God. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I went to. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Hell Kitty
yeah, stickers
instead of Hellcat.
that are in
Yeah.
pink that instead of Hellcat.
And like the same font and everything, just like the Hellcat logo, but it's like a little kitten face instead of an angry like mountain lion face or whatever's on there. And then
I think it's a Hellcat, Tristan.
that's not a thing though. What is a Hellcat really?
A cat from
Demon
hell.
isn't a thing either, but they they have the little.
But at least it's a well-known like trope.
What would you have preferred?
Monster Manual
the
has one, I'm
Banshee.
sure. Yeah.
I can get behind the mythology of that, but not Hellcat.
What is a Hellcat? I mean, honestly, Hellhound.
It's a
Those are a thing.
It's a Hellion cat. It's a cat from
Hellion
hell.
cat.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's a cat from hell. That's what a
Yeah.
Hellcat is.
Well, anyway, that's what a Hell Kitty is a very small Hellcat. And it's on a Dodge Dart.
actually like that. I'm gonna be real. I actually like that.
I don't remember seeing this car in our parking lot.
Keep your eyes peeled.
I'm gonna
It
now.
is there.
I'm gonna now.
Yep.
Where do they normally park? Like, where have you seen it?
East entrance on the end of the T, right like in the first few rows. Yeah. Weird, right?
Yeah. If I were still working on that side of the building, I'd probably see it all the time. I park up towards the other end now.
Yeah.
Management.
Moving on up.
I have some dumb car news. It's it's totally unrelated to Dodge. I went back to our alma mater, Stevens Point, this last weekend, and I saw there a Vision, something I had never seen before.
Okay.
But something that immediately attracted my attention. My wife and I were walking around the campus, and I saw a K car go by, but not just any K car. It was a pickup,
Yeah.
which was super weird.
I love those though.
I loved it too, and I was like, wait, how? I mean, yes, the 25-year restriction, blah, 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 but this looked new. So I happened to catch one in a lot, and it is, in fact, like a Suzuki K car. It's called, they have two versions. One's called the Shuttle LS, and one's called the Shuttle something else.
It's a weird name, something else.
Well, it's like the Shuttle, I didn't get a picture of the pickup truck one, but they're both called the Shuttle, based on this tiny little Suzuki platform. And they have legally imported them as slow-moving vehicles. So they're technically calling them like a go-kart or
like
a
a
golf cart.
cart or
Golf
like
cart,
a
yeah.
like a mule.
And so they're like limited
yeah.
to like 25 miles an
Yeah.
hour, but it's a K car. Mm-hmm. That's kind of interesting.
I appreciate that.
And also
That's a
And
way
I
around
want one.
import law.
Yeah, and also it's kind of dumb because when that little pickup truck is doing 25 miles an hour, it looks so funny because it's governed. It's governed, so it's just like and it's just going down the road, driving hard. But,
I wonder if they limit any of the cars we're about to talk about to 25 mile an hour, or at least say they are.
That's actually interesting because now that I don't know.
Maybe
if
they
this
can
means
import
that.
some of these then. We
That's what
don't
I'm
have to talk
saying. I
about
don't know
them.
if this means Suzuki is selling that also as a go-kart or. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there. It's just an interesting thing, and that's a good point, Nick. I wasn't thinking about it this way, but that is an excellent lead into the topic.
Which is, we thirsty.
we thirsty.
We're thirsty for some cars.
We're thirsty for some good cars.
Forbidden fruit.
The forbiddenest.
Forbiddenness.
We're gonna give them the forbiddenness.
I'm give him the forbiddenness.
Well, I mean, since I just got done talking about a little car, I'll start and I will
Whoa,
go.
whoa, whoa, let's change up the order a little bit.
Fine, change up the order.
It was Tristan's birthday. Let's let
birthday
him
boy.
lead off.
It's your birthday.
It's your birthday. Go, Tristan. It's your birthday.
All right. So,
Again, we're just listing out cars that we really want, but we cannot get here in the States.
I will stick with the theme. And obviously, anybody who also has this on your list, feel free to chime in on the discussion, the description, what have you. First one, sticking with the theme, K cars we'd like to see here.
Yes.
The Honda S660. Now, for those of you who are not aware of what the K car is, I think we did lightly touch on it in one of our previous episodes. It's a set of standards related to engine displacement and physical body size of a vehicle, meant to assist with congestion, parking, all sorts of stuff like that in the really crowded Japanese cities, mainly Tokyo. And
So I think I think just off the top of my head, there's a total volume restriction, but I think it's under 660 cc for the engine.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's- yeah.
And
So like a motorcycle engine.
yeah, usually a lot of them are 2 or 3 cylinders.
And they're very small cars. I mean,
very
you think,
small.
You think you know what a subcompact is in America? This is like 3 classes lower than
yeah.
subcompact.
This
Exactly.
is damn near Smart 4.2 territory.
It's smaller.
And
some of them.
Nick segues perfectly.
Ah! Yes!
My point as to why I want it here. It is a better smart car.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you think about things that you want to buy and own in a city, and you look at what Smart had on offer, these are better.
Yeah.
Almost all K cars are, but this one in particular. 6-speed manual gearbox, if you choose it. CVT is another option. They all weigh, well under, they're usually about 1,500 pounds or so, give or take, and they are, with that small weight and that small size, they're pushing under 100 horsepower. I think the S660 is about 68 horsepower.
Yep, something like that.
And they, like I said, some of the slickest 6-speed manual transmissions you'll ever see. Obviously, according to reviews, we don't have them here. But
Well, it's Honda,
it's Honda. It's similar to the ones you get in Type Rs and Civic SIs, and they're all bred from the same material. And this one looks like kind of like a little Audi TT almost.
It looks like Audi TT
it is
and
a-
S2000 had a very small
had
child.
a very small baby.
preemie.
Yeah, so it's a convertible too.
Yeah,
Can't forget.
Convertible, 2-seat sports car, 2-seat sports K car, and I think it is brilliant from everything I've read. Again, we can't base any of these reviews on things we've actually driven.
Right.
But based on reviews, the way it looks, Honda's reputation for things of this nature, I would be very excited to see them here to replace things like smart cars. It's like, hey, I live in a city, but I want to drive around with the top down. I want to easily park somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Have some fun cutting in and out of traffic. And yeah, with 68 horsepower.
I want to be able to go shopping for more than a pair.
Right, exactly.
Because it has a trunk. Wow.
Yes.
What a concept.
Right, exactly. And yeah, I don't have to give up my passenger to put my shopping in that seat.
Yeah.
And much like the Smart, if need be, at that 68, 70, 80 horsepower number, especially with a 6-speed gearbox, you can put them on the freeway. Mm-hmm. It'll be buzzy. We all know that. But if need be, you can get in this car and drive it to California if you need to. I would not suggest.
That would be a
I would not
hell of a
suggest
trip.
this.
I would like someone to try that. I mean,
Right,
if we could only get one.
I would not suggest this, but I think it could be.
Maybe we
done.
could have someone road
By the
trip
way, I
it.
just got your text, Tristan, saying to come on down.
There you go. Great. Perfect.
Maybe we can get someone to road trip it across Japan and tell us
Someone has to have
something.
Now I want to know.
There's got to be one that's old. Someone has to have one.
Or also, as an alternative, if any of our listeners would like to fund our trip to Japan to drive 3 S660s across the length of Japan, we will happily accept.
That would be-
Absolutely.
that would be so
Any,
much fun.
It'd be so incredible.
Any wondrous benefacers would like to help us with that, please let us know.
Yeah.
I have a passport.
I do too.
So
we're ready to go.
And we have a Patreon page.
That's
Exactly.
right. Plug the page. Since we're talking K cars, can I go next?
Yeah,
Because I also
absolutely.
have a K car, which
Hit
I
it.
think you will really like this, Tristan.
I think I will. Because I like most of them, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So this one is actually sold in Japan, but very popular in Europe, where they also have. It's a variation of the K car. I think they are slightly larger, and they can have slightly larger engines. I forget exactly what the terminology is for them in Europe. They aren't called K cars. They're called.
Yeah, usually for export, they'll put a bigger motor in them and not be so rigid on bumper and hood side.
I think
but
they're
on
ultra
K-car
compact
bodies,
or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so, anyways, this is called the Kia Picanto GT Line S. So it's a very, very small Kia, and it's a little hatchback.
City car.
City car. Yes, thank you. And it has
Oh,
a
wow.
1-liter turbocharged engine, and it puts out 100 horsepower in a tiny little car. So I think it's great looking. I think it's very exciting, and it would actually be pretty quick.
I'm looking at Tristan's phone here over his shoulder. It looks
It
pretty
looks pretty
sweet.
Pretty sweet. And I'm looking through because I hadn't heard of this one. This is ripped right from Wikipedia. You guys can look this up too. But something I found strikingly interesting: the first generation or second generation ones. There hasn't been a real study into the new ones yet, but the second generation ones were the most reliable car in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's pretty impressive.
A reliability index where it's like golf. Out of 100, you want as few as you can get.
Yeah.
Its reliability index was 3.
Oh, damn.
Nice.
Like,
Damn, that's
Like-
super impressive.
that's ridiculous. And that from like a little 1-liter turbocharged city car where you would not expect the highest of build quality
Right.
or quality control.
Right.
But
And-
also on the flip side, not a lot of complexity. There's not
True.
There's less opportunity for things to break because there's simply less moving parts.
True, exactly.
Yeah, I love this little thing, and
Yes.
it's disappointing because of these little cars like the S660 and this Picanto and all of the other ones. It's disappointing to see American cars getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger when who cares? I mean, you have these great little cars and they look fantastic and they drive really well and they are just great.
Which I mean, I was
I think there's an opportunity there for these car companies too. If you think about it, how many people don't drive in New York or Chicago or any of these places just
Right.
because there's no room?
It's
Because
like,
everyone's
if you could-
driving SUVs and Mercedes and all these other things. Like, if you were to, I mean, that is literally an untapped market worth of car buyers.
And
right
I think
there.
these two changes would allow them to be more popular. This is purely off the cuff. If you could limit, for example, we kind of joked about, hey, you could drive a K car from New York to California just for fun. But if you limited them not to, like let's say you couldn't drive them outside of a metropolitan area, because a lot of the issues with it are like safety.
Sure.
Why a lot of these cars don't come over is they lack some basic safety features because they're never designed to go more than 25, 30 miles an hour in a city, right?
Right.
So let's say, okay, National Highway Transportation Safety, whatever, you can have your fun. We're not going to drive them outside of the city, but they're perfectly safe. I mean, Japan, all about rules and safety, and they allow them there.
But
Europe,
I think they
Europe
also
is
have
the
drastically
same.
lower traffic incidents.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying is like, but let's say, okay, you can only drive them inside cities, and if you allowed people with these cars to share parking spaces.
Sure, parking spaces. You could do stuff like use bus lanes.
Yep,
Yeah, I mean,
that would be interesting to see.
incentivize people to actually get little cars. Actually, just because we're talking about this now, I am hearing two conflicting things. The first is that people in cities will drive more and look to buy more cars, like you were just saying, Nick. And the other thing is that car ownership is going to decrease because ride sharing is going to become more popular and subscription services are going to become more popular. Both of those things cannot be true. There can't be more people buying cars and fewer people buying cars. So, what's going to happen?
more people in cities.
right?
They didn't say more people overall, did they?
Well, they come from two different data points. One is from manufacturers saying, manufacturers who are launching these subscription services saying, people aren't going to buy cars. You're just gonna rent them when you need them from now on.
Cars
And then-
as a service.
right, which would happen in cities because who's going to do that even out here? And we live 20 miles from a city.
Yeah,
No one's going to do
never.
that. And the other thing is that people in cities, supposedly the same people who would be using subscription services, are going to buy more cars. It can't be both.
No.
I'm going to go with the former on that, if it's anything, unless they bring over a small car solution for those people living in cities. Because, I mean, look, ask any cabbie how popular ride sharing is becoming. Like,
True.
it's
Yeah, but my wonderment
transportation as a whole is changing.
is... Yeah, my wonder is if ride-sharing has replaced things like taxis and public transportation.
I think it has.
I was on vacation in a place where there is free public transportation at Disney World. Free boats, free trains, free buses,
Boats?
and boats. And there were times when even when it was free, the public transportation was not speedy or reliable enough from a company like Disney, whose keystone skill is people logistics and they still really couldn't do it. So they partnered with Lyft to offer ride sharing inside the resort because they know people want to get places when they want to get places.
Right.
And I think that's what you're going to see this ride sharing thing start to cut into is traditional taxis and public transportation, not necessarily people who want to own and buy a car.
Yeah.
So
sorry to just completely derail
so
us there,
maybe
but-
they don't necessarily have to come from different places. Maybe people will still buy more cars, and ride sharing and these other services will become more popular. Both we might see that pie shrink elsewhere, like public transportation or whatever. So
That's interesting.
just thought.
Good point.
Deep thoughts. Too.
Yeah,
Tristan's
as
Deep
I
Thoughts TM. He
fully-
does it again.
As I fully derail the podcast.
It's all good. I'll bring us back around,
Luckily,
shall
we're a
we?
car
Do it.
podcast. We don't need rails. Oh,
Oh, man.
why can't I be cool about anything? Because it's me.
Oh, man.
Go ahead. Please save us.
Are you sure you're not done with your vacation yet? You have someone else to
Oh
be?
no, I am no. Today at work has reaffirmed that I am definitely not on vacation anymore.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stick to, it's not a K car, but I'm going to stick to the small car theme for this first round. We're going to go a little bit larger than K car. We're going to talk about a hot hatch. Everybody loves hot hatches.
Always.
Hot hatches are one of the coolest car segments out there. And we have we got a lot of good ones here.
We have like 3 now, but yeah.
We had
Go on.
a lot of good ones here.
We had a lot of good ones.
But possibly the best one. Possibly the best one
Possibly the best one.
is over in Europe.
Most of them are.
That's where they come from.
That's true.
Their natural habitat.
But it's never been sold here.
What do you got?
The Renault Megane RS.
Oh,
Yup.
I lust after this vehicle.
So hard.
Oh, God.
Heavy lustage.
Yeah, the Renault Megane RS. Ooh, tell me about it. Talk to me.
Well, 275 horsepower to start
I
with.
saw that on the website. I started laughing.
The thing is an absolute monster for its size.
On the wheels that are also doing the steering.
It's the next thing I was going to
Let's say mine's got 280, but that's through all 4 wheels.
This has got 4-wheel steer on top of 275 horse.
does?
Yes, it does.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, it is so badass, you guys. Look this one up, listeners. This thing is a little tiny beast.
And if I'm not mistaken, this line of cars, kind of their primary color is often black with orange, right? That's-
Black and yellow.
Yellow.
Okay.
Renault. So,
Yeah.
a lot of what they do, actually, the RS, Renault Sport. It's French. It's not sport, it's sport.
Great.
Renault
It's technically, it's one of those things where it's not technically made by Renault. It's the RS. So, it's made by Renault Sport. And,
like AMG to Mercedes or something like that.
And they like to do yellow and black. It's like their color scheme. So, usually yellow. The orange is Citroen.
Citroen is, yes.
That looks orange to me.
Really? I would call that yellow. Maybe I'm colorblind.
That looks yellow to me too.
You're
Like,
colorblind.
there's like 2 different colors. Like that looks yellow, that looks orange.
It could be the
It's
lighting
gotta
in which
be
it was
lighting.
shot.
But that's when I was looking it up. I was seeing these, and I was
You
thinking
also
orange.
like love orange a lot, so I just might see it where
Watch
it's
where I
not.
was going, and
Let's
I was
just
gonna
call it citrus.
citrus. Pomelo.
No!
You're welcome. You keep thinking that you've achieved peak whiteness. Learn, my friend.
Yeah, well,
But Renault Megane RS, please,
it's amazing.
please bring it over here.
Just, yes. It's so frustrating.
Just somebody man up and smuggle one.
But I mean,
Smoke one.
the heartbreaking thing about this is that Renaults, I mean, they haven't been sold in America in, 40 years? Something like that now?
No. My dad had a Renault Encore.
In what year?
The early 90s?
Really?
Yeah.
But when was it made? Was it new?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I didn't realize
Yeah,
this.
it was-
Was
it
that
was-
the one that was like?
That was the cheapest one they could buy new at the time.
Wasn't that the one that was like? Was that the one that looked a lot like a Ford? Was that the one like Ford
They
built
stopped
for
selling
them?
them like the 70s.
Let's see. Renault Encore. Let's see. Maybe it was just the cheapest one they could buy at the time. It was manufactured for them, and then re-engineered. They were built in Kenosha, at least until the late
What?
80s.
That's why it was cheap. Didn't have to ship it anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, built in Kenosha.
Are you kidding me?
For those who aren't familiar, Kenosha is about an hour away from us.
There was a
Yeah,
Renault
1987.
87.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll be damned.
Okay, so
Renault.
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so they haven't been sold here in a while. But Renault bought Mitsubishi a couple of years ago, right? Just like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And instead of sharing any of that, because Renault's been developing hot hatches since time immemorial, since they became a thing.
No, I thought Renault and Nissan were together, not Mitsubishi.
Well, Renault, Nissan, and the what is that? The RN Alliance, whatever the
Yes.
abbreviation is. They did buy Mitsubishi.
Okay.
And they didn't give any little tiniest bit of all that hot hatch technology to Mitsubishi and tell them to bring back an Evo. They didn't do any of that. They didn't even do a little bit. They didn't even give them a car chassis. So it's very frustrating because
Super frustrating.
the
An
Evo died,
or an Eclipse
or even an Eclipse, and they brought back that. Then they brought that
as
back
a
now as an
silly
SUV.
crossover.
It's sad,
Boo.
but I really want a Renault.
I really want a Renault Megane RS.
Uh-huh.
Is it Megane or Megane? Megane seems Americanized.
That's what
I
they
wanna say
always say on
Megane.
Top Gear, and you got to remember the UK is built on mispronouncing French words, so it's probably Megane.
Megane.
All right, Tristan. Next.
Sticking with small cars, mine is not nearly as exciting, however. However, I want to bring up the Nissan Micra. It has its own theme music.
My phone just rang. I should let that play. That's a great little ringtone I have there.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, the Nissan Micra. We were actually introduced to these when we went to our race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yes, we were.
Because they were the star of the Micra Cup. Now, bear in mind, the generation that we saw there. Did we go in 2016?
We were
Yeah.
2016.
So that would have been the fourth generation of those. They're built in all of the best places: India, China, Mexico, and Indonesia.
Okay.
All of the best.
Featuring up to a 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder engine,
Woo.
and a 5-speed manual.
Did you say good morning? It's 8 p.m.
Oh no, the house is listening to me.
The machines are rebelling currently.
They are.
Oh my
His
God.
phone's ringing. My HomePod's going on.
We will not survive this
My
podcast.
goodness.
Tell my parents I love them.
The singularity approaches.
This car is a perfect example of a brilliant, simple car.
Yeah, absolutely.
It starts at like $7,000,
Oh my god, isn't
like
that low?
7.5 or so.
Oh, come
Because
on.
I tried to do the calculation from Canadian, where it's like 8.5.
Did you say the calculation from Canada, by the
from
way?
Canadian dollars?
Canadian.
Gotcha.
Loonies.
Anyway,
Yes.
Calculation.
The loony to greenback calculation.
there you go. for me, it was buying a go-kart and trailer or Nissan Micra.
Micra, right?
gosh.
Like, that's
Wouldn't that
a
have been
legit,
something?
That's a legit... I mean, the money was almost damn near equal. If you
Yeah.
guys read my blog, you would know.
Oh man.
So the Nissan Micra, and I think cars like this is a perfect example, but cars of this nature, I think, need to be brought back into the United States.
Totally agree.
And I think it's something that, because you find people buying cars like this used as first cars, cars that are used in, fleet vehicles, simple cars, people who strip them out and race them in the Micra Cup in Canada. I mean, think about, this is Nissan. They have a performance background. Think about bringing the Micra over as an economy car, yet providing, like, Nismo parts.
Yeah.
Like, think about how cool that would be for SCCA, autocross.
That would be
like,
sweet.
I think there would be a market there.
Or even the kid who just wants to soup up his car before prom.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and I think something that the United States, it will never fly, because the United States has always been about bigger cars. I think we're kind of weird that we even like small cars, every time I look at my current car and go, ooh, I like it because it's small. Like, that's a weird thing. People in this country don't say that. So, would it ever happen? I really don't think so.
No.
But that's why I call it forbidden fruit. Also very reliable, very simple, very inexpensive, and
$7,000, yeah.
I think cars we will get to cars that we talked about earlier when we were again making sure we didn't have duplicates, etc. A little bit behind the scenes there. That are more expensive. We've already been there with the Megane and other things, and but I think cars like this are ones that we will truly never see. I think the other things.
That's the sad truth of it.
There's always a breath of life in some of the ones that we're talking about potentially coming up here, but this one, it's small, it's low power, it's a sub super compact. It's never gonna sell here, but I think that's a shame.
It is a shame. I think I have one that would sell here, and weirdly, we don't get it. I mean, the U.S. is known, famously, for just selling 10 million F-150s every 5 minutes, or
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah.
Sounds about official.
Yeah,
stat.
it's something like that.
Yeah, you're in there. You're in the range.
It was the only thing keeping Ford afloat. Now nothing's keeping Ford afloat. Ha, you suckers. But the weird thing is, internationally, there are so many pickup trucks that we don't get here in any
Yep.
form. And the one that I picked out is actually a Fiat. It's called the Fiat Fullback. And they also make one that has that, the new thing is to put the plastic rails on the
Yes.
side of the bed and call it something else.
Like the Avalanche?
Yeah, so they have one like that called the Fullback Cross, whatever. But it's a pickup. It comes with the full cab and a regular bed. It's pretty interesting looking in that it definitely looks like a Fiat and it definitely looks European. But my question is, this isn't even the only one like this. There's also another one on the list, the Mitsubishi L200.
Same truck.
Yeah, they look virtually identical.
They
In
are
fact,
the
they
same
are now
truck.
the same truck.
Yes.
Okay. So who actually makes that?
Is virtually identical to the L200 from which the engine originates.
Okay,
So I'd say the heart of it is a Mitsubishi engine. Various, things to the frame.
It's collaborative then between Fiat or FCA and Mitsubishi.
Yeah, same unibody as the Renegade.
Wow.
What size are we talking as far as a truck? It's not like a Silverado size.
No. It would be a smaller pickup. I'm thinking Ranger size.
Like smaller than... I was just going to say smaller than Ranger, Frontier, Colorado, or about that size.
From the pictures, it looks like it's a little smaller than Colorado.
71.5 inches wide, 70 inches tall.
It's not that small. What is the Colorado?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it just baffles me because they sell Fiats in America,
They do.
and everybody sells trucks in America.
So you thought.
Why not bring... Well, like anyone who tries to sell a truck will sell a truck
yeah.
in America. So why
Definitely.
not bring Plus, Fullback is a... Well, I can't say where the name Fullback originated from, but being a big American football country...
Well,
It's also present in
yes, it
rugby
is.
and
right,
and
exactly. That's
but,
why...
football.
Here's something that's kind of weird, as I literally just go to introduce it and forgot what I was going to say.
Here's something
Oh.
weird. He can't remember what he was going to
Oh.
say. I'll say something instead.
You do that.
So, I think the problem... wow. I think the problem with some of these small trucks coming over is similar to what I discussed earlier with smaller cars.
Mm-hmm.
Americans are never going to buy a smaller truck, I think, than the size of like a Colorado. Because it used to be like, okay, what the Colorado size truck, the new Ranger, that's what F-150s were. And like a lot of even European car companies are doing, like the A4 now is the same size as like my dad's A6 back in the day.
Right, yeah.
So they
Everything
introduced the
sized up
A3.
once.
They're like, oh, well, let's just put a lower number on it and make another small car. The truck companies in this country are building bigger and bigger and bigger trucks, and they're introducing ones I would not be surprised to see Dodge come out with a Dakota soon.
They will.
Oh, it has to come
guaranteed.
out.
Because-
it'll be on the Wrangler truck platform.
So that is to fill in that gap that an actual mid-sized truck has left.
Right. I did remember what I was going to say, and it was this.
I figured it would help.
That Nissan, which Nissan was it that you looked at, Nick? The Nissan... not
Frontier.
The Frontier, yeah, the smaller one.
Yep.
That's one of the best-selling cars in the country, and it's a smaller,
Yeah.
quote-unquote,
Pickup.
truck. This would be about that same size. And because it has the Japanese reliability, again, it's, a Mitsubishi engine,
I think it's going
I
to
feel
fall
like it would sell.
I think it's going to fall into the same pitfalls that the pitfalls of distrust that American truck buyers have surrounding non-body-on-frame trucks.
Well, here's what you got to do. You just get people over it by doing the Toyota and joining NASCAR.
Yes, they're going to race
No.
the Fiat fullback in
No.
NASCAR trucks.
Get a different Fiat in NASCAR because honestly, if you look at the difference between people's perception of Toyota and their cars pre them entering NASCAR and post them racing in NASCAR and winning in NASCAR as they did,
Yes, they do.
it's completely different. No one
I'm never going to buy that Japanese crap, too. I'm going to buy it.
No one blinks if anyone they know buys a Camry. No one says, who wants that Japanese crap? No one even thinks that.
Yeah.
It can be done. You can work your way into full American culture awareness just by racing in NASCAR. I don't know that it takes anything else.
I think that's true. And the other issue would be you would have to revamp and choose a different motor. And I think that's also the issue.
and you can't call it an engine, you have to call it a motor.
Yep.
motor.
I think that's going to be part of it because these are built on kind of now, pariah small diesel engines.
Sure.
That's another one similarly on my list. It's not worth enough launching into a full one for me, and I'll just kind of tack it onto yours. Is the VW Amarok, which is similar. It's a small truck,
Small truck.
and it only has a diesel option. And after Volkswagen's like, well, we're not going to sell any more of those here after what we did. Okay, well then the Amarok's never going to sell here. You're never going to get it here because you'd have to redesign the platform to take one of their inline fours or
I guess.
whatever. Like,
I just don't fully believe, specifically with VW, given the fact that they have a universal platform for all of their pieces, that they couldn't find an engine to fit in that engine bay. That it could only be a diesel.
right? The biggest thing is, are they going to bother?
No, they're not. They're not
Yeah.
going to bother. But, I think with both the Fiat and the Mitsubishi, which are the same truck, and with the Amarok as well, all of these small trucks, there could be a market for them. In fact, if we remember, Ford is hinging basically their entire company's future on the fact that people will buy small trucks and SUVs enough to save their company. Almost
Yeah, but they're
fully.
also wrong, as we mentioned. So, I mean, I wouldn't use it as a business strategy.
Listen, I can argue this both ways. Don't try to stop me.
Yeah, I wouldn't look to Ford as an example right now.
I wouldn't, but it's going to be interesting to see because if this does take off, say, could some other company try a similar thing by bringing in something like the fullback or something like Mitsubishi, who can't sell a damn car, bringing in the 200?
I don't think they're going to, another company, if whatever happens with Ford actually does end up turning positive in some way, I don't think a company is going to try to pull a Ford
Yeah.
and eliminate cars,
No.
but they're going to take a shot at a smaller truck.
I think they might.
Like, Fiat isn't going to say, all right, we're going to pull off the 500 and just sell the fullback.
Right.
We're going to sell the fullback in addition to
Although
what we
what
have.
they should do is pull the 500 XL. That thing is ugly.
It's so bad.
Really bad.
It's on the same platform as the Renegade, which is a much better looking vehicle.
Yeah.
Anyway, side note.
Anyway, so
That was a
that was a VW.
and
And
Mitsubishi / Fiat.
all right, I'm gonna pull a Tristan, and I'm gonna talk about VW for a second.
Oh, he's stealing my bit here.
I'm gonna talk about the Volkswagen California.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
You know it. I've never heard
do.
of it.
This is a large. It's not a minivan. It's a full size van.
I believe it is. Yeah.
Ah, the van.
that is sold only in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It's about roughly $60K to get.
What?
But hang on. You don't just get a van. You get a house.
So wait, it's an RV?
It's a van with a power, like a power operated pop up camper that comes out of the top.
Oh, that thing!
Yes.
It is the
man.
new Westphalia Vanagon. Really is what it is. Or Euro.
Now I do know what you're talking about.
Yes. And also, if you name it after one of our states, you got to sell it in the United States.
absolutely
Like
do.
that should be. I think that
that's
was in
no
the
fair.
Geneva Convention.
That also is in the
That's a pretty big document. You guys should really look that up. There's a lot in
A lot
there.
in there you don't know.
There's a lot of
about.
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs in the Geneva.
Lots of memes. Lots of memes in the Geneva Convention.
Oh,
But come on, for 60, like all the like you hear about those people like they take an old Mercedes or like a VW bus or something and they trick it out with
Yeah, or all the
all the beds and whatever else,
Yeah.
and they make it their own little camper and they road trip in it. You can do that in modern comfort and not have to do any work if they would just sell to California. All those road trip dreams would come true.
I would say, or the people spending god awful amounts of money rehabbing old flat four Westphalia vans
Yes.
that are not good to road trip in. I mean,
Yeah, this is no buying an old junker and putting blood, sweat, and tears and extra money in renovating it. This is a Volkswagen built today, modern car with all the modern amenities. You push a button and a camper pops up the top.
And it's a California they don't sell. I mean,
It's a California
Come on.
that they don't sell in California
throw
or any of the
away-
other 49 states.
throw away the rest of my list. I just want that. I'm good with that.
Did Nick just win the podcast?
For me, anyway.
Tristan does have an insatiable lust for camper vehicles.
Yes, I do. If I could tow a pop-up camper with my California, that would be even better.
Oh, damn. That reminds me. What a transition. When Meg and I were driving back from our weekend, we suddenly hit dead stop traffic. I mean, parked on the road for like 20 minutes. And all the GPS showed was red lines all the way up the road, just as far as was meaningful looking on the GPS. What the heck's going on? So, half an hour later, we finally get rolling, get down the road to find a car attached to a camper, balled up on the side of the road.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Like, bad accident. And of course, the couch is sitting here, and chairs and pots and pans and microwaves. And then, of course, the damaged car, too. So I don't know if anyone was killed or whatever, but clearly they had to remove this thing from the road.
Ugh. Ugly. You hate to see that kind of stuff.
It was.
Hope
it
everybody
was
was okay.
One of the nastiest crashes, yeah. Hope so.
On that grim note,
On that grim note,
transition, please, Tristan.
I'm going to speak to an entire segment. I know it's painting with broad strokes.
Uh-huh.
Very.
But I'm going to talk about the station wagon that everybody gets except for us.
They get them all over the world. Every other country
Yeah.
gets all of the station wagons, and we get none.
Be it do they call it a shooting brake, an estate car, a station wagon, whatever you want to call it. We don't get them. We should. And I feel like leaving it there, but I know I have to explain it more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a little bit.
So it's something that makes me angry and I don't like to talk about it. Station wagons are, in my opinion, the perfect vehicle
Agree.
for a lot of things. They carry a ton of stuff, and no, we don't know what that sound is, other than we can assume it's not an animal. If you guys can hear it on the recording, it sounds like there's a frog in our basement, but we don't think that's what that is. Anyway, the station wagons they carry a ton of stuff. They drive like a normal car.
Yes.
And especially in some of these versions, they can be tarted up quite nicely.
Indeed.
The Focus ST in Europe has an estate version. Every Avant Audi,
Yep.
including RS versions, and the actually I was oddly struck by the Kia Optima Sportback.
That's interesting because the one that was on my list, worst name in the game, the Subaru Levorg,
Yes.
which is a wagon version of the STI/WRX.
Yep.
So I mean,
That was on my list as well.
306,000 horsepower in your wagon and
Yep.
all-wheel drive,
AM
and the reliability of Subaru.
AMG
Oh yeah.
makes wagons.
Oh, speaking of an infinity horsepower.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever want something that can carry your children to school and eat tires for lunch,
And terrify them the whole way.
I mean, that's it. I mean,
You wanted to get your kids to go to school, you take them in an AMG
that was I
way.
think that was one of the best advertisements I'd ever seen. I believe it was for an AMG wagon that was sold here. I don't think it was an Audi, but I'll be corrected, I'm sure. It was either an RS Avant that they did bring here, or the S Avant that they did bring here, or one of the AMGs. It was, get your kids to school, wide-eyed and white-knuckled.
Yeah.
And it's magnificent. Yeah. And it's just great.
Yeah, I totally agree on the wagon thing. But as I pointed out in one of the very first blog posts, the trick is, and Subaru knows this, so why?
Yeah.
But the trick is to lie, and the trick is to say that your wagon is an SUV. There is another manufacturer doing this right now, and I just saw it on the road the other day. Kia does it with the Niro.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Meg was driving and one pulled up next to us, and I was like, that car is exactly as tall as this one. And it doesn't have that. They call it an SUV. Folks, that's a wagon. I don't know if any of you are going to run to return your Niros that you're not buying, but it's just a wagon. But you have to lie. You have to say it's an SUV.
At
it's
least-
a CUV. It's a crossover.
I was going to say crossover, at least. If you
Or-
can't call it a full SUV, you got to call it a crossover. You can't just say it's a wagon.
Right.
Wagon has some sort of negative connotation now.
Yeah.
If you can throw in the words active or sport, that also does the trick.
Again, Ford was trying to do that with the
Yep.
Focus Active, and then they. Why do we talk about Ford? I need to stop talking about
It's going
Ford.
to give you an aneurysm or something. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Ford. So yes,
Wagons.
wagons, they need to be here.
They do.
I feel like whatever marketing trick you need to deploy, car companies, do it, because I think you'll sell a ton of them if you get it right. I mean, it is, all social commentary aside, it is the touch of death that is given to vehicles that are the mom car. And I don't know why that doesn't happen in other parts of the world. But in the United States, it's like, well, once all the moms started driving station wagons, then everybody else stopped buying them. And then they said, okay, well, I don't want to drive the uncool car. Let's get the next big thing. It's a minivan.
It's a minivan.
And then the minivans got phased out for crossovers and SUVs and everything else. And I think it's time to bring it full circle and bring back the station wagons.
Totally agree.
I'm not even a fan of wagons that much, but they're way cooler than minivans are.
They're way
Unless you
cooler
can have a
than-
camper that pops up out the top.
And they're
Yeah,
way
that-
cooler than crossovers.
That minivan thing, that was like the whole automotive world for 15 years. Mm-hmm.
By
then,
far the
boom.
most... Yep, gone.
There's what, 2 on the market now?
The
Pacifica and Toyota
Kia-
makes one.
Do they
Yes.
still, though?
The Honda Odyssey.
Honda Odyssey.
I thought that was phased out.
No, I thought they just released a brand new one.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. No one cares.
There are more than a few, but they are not marketed.
right.
well.
People who go in to buy a van are just going to buy a van. Mm-hmm. You know?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, the next one I have is kind of the same thing. It's a category, but it's a category from one specific manufacturer. We need in the U.S., and supposedly we're getting one, but Hyundai is making the N line now, and people mocked them like, oh, it's just the M, blah blah blah. Sure, okay, even if it is. The Hyundai N line, they started with the i30, which is the Elantra Sport here.
Yes.
They are bringing a Veloster here, and they now are doing an i30N liftback or sportback, which looks so gorgeous I can't even contain myself. Basically, they're just super high performance Hyundais. And the thing is, they're really, 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 really good. They're very fast, they're very well made. They handle really well. Everyone who drives them loves them, and somehow Hyundai did all of this still starting about $3,000 less than their competitor cars. Mm-hmm. We just got to have them here. Why don't we get good stuff?
I don't. I think did they run out of letters to name their sport division? Like S was already used, RS was used, STI was used, M was used,
L
no,
was
you
used.
can't
have that.
A was used. He like is what's left, and they just like throw a dart. Let's see. It was V. It was Q. It was N. It was
couldn't be V. Yeah.
N. Okay. How about N?
There was some story behind it.
No,
one
the
cares.
name of the town where the plant is begins with an N. I think is
Yeah.
the actual story.
I guess it's better than nothing.
But still, it just to have a performance division called an N, just
And they did steal BMW's colors, but also no one cares.
N is a variable.
Shut.
God,
Be cool.
It can be anything you want it to be.
God damn it.
Anyways, we need the end line here, and I will not be derailed by math jokes. We just need.
It wasn't a joke.
We just.
No, he was
think I'm-
serious.
think
He
I'm
was
kidding.
presenting a fact.
I was trying to answer your question.
We just need the end line here so bad. And again,
They race it.
yes, they do, but not at some of the races in America, but very few because again, the I-30 isn't even sold here, and they don't rebadge for one race.
Right.
So it's just heartbreaking that people talk so much about American car culture. We don't get anything good at all.
We always get the dumbed down stuff. We always get the watered down stuff. Is it because that people think that like we don't they know that we don't take care of our stuff?
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I'd like to investigate the whole why of this more, but I don't have an answer right now. Other
And
than
we also don't have a lot of time.
Right.
other than I think that part of it is just the size of the market. I think when you look at the size of our market, the only other ones that kind of approach it are China, like,
Well, China's the biggest one now.
and they don't get anything really all that interesting either. I mean, they've got some domestic.
But you would think they'd want to
companies.
go there because of the opportunity.
Well, the whole thing about China is that they have a different view of innovation. They have a different view of what constitutes intellectual theft, basically. So people don't send their good stuff there because they want to keep it.
True.
However, what China does have over the U.S. is a bunch of manufacturers who just do the most random shit.
Yep.
And you know what? Not much of it lands, but they're new to the game. So,
Give them a minute.
exactly. And they are going to find things that work, and already China is beginning to push their cars into other markets, which is one I had a car on my list that was actually a Chinese vehicle. The point is, they're trying a bunch of stuff, and you got to watch out when you have a bunch of new people all competing for a very tight market space and all trying new things.
Yep.
That's where creative explosions happen.
Yep, and I think that that's the other part of it, is that there are so many people here who buy cars that it is not a competitive market. I think you can, as we've seen, literally flood the market with crap and people will buy cars because here they have to. I feel like in Europe and a lot of parts of Asia, cars are a luxury item. Mm-hmm. Here, they're a commodity, they're a necessity. And you have people like us who make choices based on the fact that we like driving and we like cars, and we choose the things that we choose. But you've got people who don't because they need to get a car. And like one of the guys that I work with, like he's gonna wear out his Hyundai warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty. He comes to Milwaukee from Lake Geneva every day. He's gonna wear out his warranty in like
A year?
3 years
Yeah,
on a 10-year
yeah.
warranty. And that's how we treat cars. And I think that that's not even that we necessarily don't even take care of our stuff, like Nick mentioned. I think it's just that our environment is tough on cars. We have a lot of mileage, a lot of different weather conditions. Like, I think that's tough on cars, and the American people don't treat their cars as something to be valued in that way because they are such utilitarian items to us. That's my second deep thought of the podcast as to why I think we don't get the interesting stuff here. Because it's like, well, like even me, when I was buying my WRX, it's like, yeah, but I'm gonna burn through like all of its warranty. I'm gonna be luckily I'm enthralled with it, and I will definitely be buying it out when my lease is over. Like I'm gonna go through my lease, a 3-year lease, in like a year and a quarter, and because we just drive that much here, do I really want to put that kind of money into a car that I'm gonna put a ton of miles on? That thought even occurred to me. Now my car person inner monkey brain beat that thought to death and said, yes, of course you're going to buy this car. But that thought occurred even to me, and I think that might be part of why we get what we get, is because the American public cannot put that much love and attention to something they are going to just wear out in a few years.
Oh man, I have so many thoughts on that. But we don't have time. Nick.
Because I have one more car left.
Exactly. And then...
I do too.
So, my last one is a quick one. Because we're running out of time, and B, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It's a car. It's a version of a car that we have here that we just don't get.
Sure.
The Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. It's here
Yes.
in an automatic,
Well,
Yes.
paddle shift.
and the dual clutch.
Yes.
Overseas, they have it in a 6-speed manual.
Of course they do.
Full stick shift, row your own manual transmission.
Of course they do.
The Sport Saloons, as the Brits call it, is an awesome segment of car. We need a manual Quadrifoglio over here.
Here's the much like exactly what Tristan was just talking about. The opposite side of it is that while Americans don't necessarily treat our cars well, we want the appearance of richness, the appearance of
Richness.
wealth. And here's the thing. The reason
I don't think
why-
a manual transmission does that.
That's exactly the point. And also, they generally are cheaper. So while, we tend to pay a lot for our cars, all of those little K cars that we talked about all come with manuals. The Micra comes with a manual.
Yeah,
Because that's how you save costs.
If I can get my Quadrifoglio with a 6-speed manual, surprise, that's also what's in an S660.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I think people don't want to necessarily draw that comparison, and I think we're seeing, other car culture venues have spoken to the fact that there's this cycle around manuals and automatics as to which is the most, especially luxurious. I don't think there has been, until the near perfection that we're seeing of these dual clutch gearboxes, I don't think there's been as much of a competition as to which is the better performance-oriented one.
Right.
That argument can be made now.
Yes.
In raw numbers, a lot of these double clutch boxes are going to be faster. But what is the enthusiast transmission has kind of rotated over the years. A fantastic YouTube channel, or at least was last time I checked in, the regular car reviews talks about the C4 Corvette. Why would you want to shift your own gears? I'm buying this luxury car. I'm going to have it shift them for me.
Oh,
So fancy, right?
fancy.
And I think that's part of what we're seeing come around again, especially with the birth of these double clutch gearboxes, where you can have both.
well, double clutch is because race car.
Right.
and
you
I
can
have a shirt that says that.
Right,
because
and you
race
can.
car.
You can have something that is a nearly identical piece of technology to what's in a race car, makes your car faster, and also has both the appearance and the cost and everything of a more luxurious car. I think especially in things like the Quadrifoglio or the Giulietta or the Giulia, that manual is going to be a hard sell. I think that's
Especially
why.
here.
I think that's why it's not here.
For sure.
I agree. I would want to see it because I still consider the manual the enthusiast gearbox, but I think it's going to be a tough sell.
Worst part of this was they originally had it in U.S. showrooms and they pulled it.
Oh, wow. That's
Before it
how
was-
badly it sold?
No, before it went on sale, like when they were first announcing the car.
Well, I know, but I'll bet you they didn't just do that
No,
blindly.
I bet you the conversations were like, oh well, I don't want to have to do that.
I'll bet you they
Like-
were thinking about it with a minimum threshold in terms of interest or total pre-orders, and I bet you they didn't make those numbers.
Yeah, because everything will.
They wouldn't have done
you
that
know,
blindly.
Every single thing you change has to always be approved. And if they didn't get enough people who wanted the manual, they weren't going to do it.
Betcha.
You know what alpha is? A stick tease.
And you complain about my math jokes. Anyway, similar, to round it out, another thing that we're going to, and round it out and maybe leave on a hopeful note, the diesel Jeep Wrangler. It is a version of a car that we have not for a long time gotten here.
Right.
They were sold in Europe. They were particularly popular as an optional order for actually world militaries. We're
Really?
buying stripped out diesel Wranglers. Yeah.
Okay.
You could get the kit that Jeep sold to these, world governments through some third-party retailers here, and it was a whole kit that you could drop in. American Expedition Vehicles was one that I knew of, that you could drop this, 4-pot diesel into your Wrangler and convert it, but you could never buy one here. Now,
Now and a sneeze.
all right, that's done. The ray of
Man, we've had
sunshine.
houses talking to us. We've got phones going off. We've had frogs in the basement.
It's our
It's been an
worst episode yet.
eventful day.
Wow.
The ray of sunshine here is that this may not be forbidden fruit forever. They're the newest generation, the 2019 Wranglers. All the spies have told us that the dealers have build options that include a diesel engine. And we'll see if that is something
Really?
that's only available internationally, something that is only custom order, if it's going to be on showroom floors, what the deal is.
Just in time for the downfall of diesel almost entirely.
More or less, although, for example, Ford just rolled out the new small EcoBoost Power Stroke, the small diesel in the F-150. They just rolled it out.
Thought we
Yeah.
weren't talking about Ford anymore.
That and when are we taking Ford as an example?
And Chevy.
I need you to just keep saying that.
The
Nick,
diesel
'cause
Colorado is still being sold.
That's a good point. But I do think that we're at the point with diesel where we have to start going, no one cares, no one cares.
I think in applications like small trucks and SUVs, I think you do care still.
Okay.
Passenger cars, maybe not anymore. But I think in situations like small SUVs, small trucks, I think especially small trucks, all the ones that we're talking about, the L200, the Amarok, those are all small diesels because that's how you get the torque to be a useful pickup truck.
True, but
Without,
that's also a European thing. They
Yeah,
like diesels,
they do.
or they did. We'll see.
They still do. We don't.
Still
Yeah.
no.
They still do.
They still do. But yeah, so I think that's something that, will remain to be seen. But may, at the very end here, we might have stumbled into not so forbidden fruit. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We can only hope. If we can get one of these out of the, how many do we mention? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 or whatever that we all talked about, 14. If we get one of them, it's a win.
Doing pretty good.
It's a win. We'll take it. We'll take it. What an eventful freaking episode that
Yeah.
was. We had random noises coming at us from all over the place.
The struggle's real.
That was
Luckily, we didn't have any actual interference from the cat.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Is she looking at you?
We'll see. I don't know. No, I don't know where she's at. Hopefully she's not that close. I'm allergic to her. But anyway,
And I'm the one sneezing.
yeah, but you're allergic to everything.
The world.
So, after all of that, we've made it home. Time to sign off. But first, anybody or anything we'd like to thank.
Tristan?
It's going to sound blindingly obvious for a car podcast.
He's got to
But-
thank cars.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah!
I would like to thank cars because I spent the last week not really driving at all, and I got back to my car and I'm like, I'm literally just running out to get pizza, and this is like the best part of the day because I hadn't driven in like a week, and I missed my car. I missed all cars,
Yeah,
but specifically mine.
I
And
definitely get it.
I would
feels
like to
good,
thank
doesn't
them.
it?
It's good to be back.
It feels good. Andrew?
You know what? I think I'm just going to go with that. I want to thank Cars too, because for the exact same reason. I mean, I was just gone for the weekend, and yet to drive over here, I made sure to leave early so I could drive all the back roads around here, which are notably quite good, and then arrive on time. So, thank you to Cars.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that. I'm not going to thank cars, but I am going to thank gas stations.
Gas stations.
Excellent.
Because without gas stations, we can't drive any cars.
That's fair.
So thank you to gas stations for fueling our passion.
Shut up.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. Turn it off. Cut his mic.
Local punster and dad joke aficionado approved.
Yes. So thank you to cars, gas stations,
Gasoline. Yep.
and of course all of you for tuning in. Why are you still listening?
Don't taunt the listeners.
If you are, we can't thank you enough, and we cannot wait to talk to you again. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye.